by the topic, right? Just go with the flow, and most importantly, try and get one or two lessons from this meeting. So this is our agenda. We're going to try and discuss understanding siloism, defining business growth and innovation. Cynthia is going to talk us through the role of upselling and cross-selling in driving growth. Basically go through what it takes to break silos using collaborative strategy, and then we'll give as many examples as we can give. So we are just going to go straight into it. Cynthia?
All right, guys. Hi, everyone. Once again, just like Precious said, I'm sure siloism. Everyone's wondering, what is big grammar, right? But I'm sure we would probably have been there at one time in our careers, and even some people are currently experiencing it. If you've ever been or found yourself thinking, how does what I'm doing at work fit into my organization's goal? It means you're experiencing siloism. If you ever do not understand how what you do every day adds up to how the company is performing, it means that you're probably feeling isolated from what's happening in the organization. And in a nutshell, that's siloism. Siloism is when departments in organizations work in isolation. So basically, um, you find sometimes that in a bid for everybody to do their thing, most departments are focused on their KPIs, right? And at some point, people are not working together, right, to achieve the organization goal. Um, a little of the or just some tips on what would usually cause it, right? Lack of communication. So sometimes, like I said earlier, people are dwelled on ensuring that they meet their personal KPIs that they've been given, especially in this tipping economy. Things are hard. Everybody is trying to ensure they keep their jobs. So you've been employed and you've been given KPIs. These are your daily duties. You just want to focus on delivering those things, right? And sometimes we just get carried away and we're not communicating with our other colleagues. We don't even know what's happening along around the organization, right? As that happens with you and every other member of the organization, what's happening is you guys are drifting apart, people are working in isolation, and siloism is happening. Lack of collaboration. I don't know for the salespeople in the house. If you've ever been to a meeting where you are saying A and you have someone from your IT team join that meeting with a client and he's saying Z, it shows there's no collaboration. It definitely means there's something wrong, right? And I think another cause is from management or leadership, right? Not putting a focus on what the organization goal is, right? Um, Especially with those of us in startups, right? You find that things are fast paced, right? We are innovating and trying to do things quickly, make changes. And in a bid for that to happen, sometimes employees are left behind, right? Goals are changing, priorities are changing, focus is changing, and before you know it, um, people are working in isolation and they don't even understand what they're working on any longer. The worst is the impact of what this would cause, right? Because it sounds like, oh yeah, at least we're still showing up our product is still out there, we're still making some numbers. However, it's not long before you would start to feel the negative impact of siloism, inefficiencies. Like I mentioned, you're attending meetings and you guys don't look like you have your act together, especially for B2B companies. Trust me, the customer is just going to look for somebody who looks more serious than your organization. it would definitely limit growth potentials, because imagine working together um, and working separately. Like the saying goes, two heads are better than one, right? So there would always be a limit to how much that organization can grow. It would also hamper innovation, right? And of course, your customers would have inconsistent experience. The experience would be different. They relate to the finance team, they get a super experience. They relate to someone from the um IT team, and it looks like the guy is not in the same organization with the finance person. And once the experience is not consistent, right, it's difficult for you to hold customers and have them or retain them, right? And definitely is missed opportunities with all the inefficiencies, different um, inconsistency in the customer experience. There would definitely be opportunities that would slip through for you, such an organization, right? So yes, basically that's what siloism is, right? Precious, do you want to just go next with what business growth means?
Yes, 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 yes. So, I mean, Cynthia has mentioned that siloism will hamper on business growth, and every organization is in business to grow. If we want to put it explicitly, to generate revenue, to make profit, you need to grow, right? So, what does this business growth mean to you, to all of us on this call? We are mostly business development people, marketing people, data analysts. We are the ones dealing with the numbers, engaging with customers, driving this business growth, right? So, in order for you to know if there's siloism and how you can innovate beyond it in your organization, you need to first of all understand what business growth means to your organization, right? So, you need to begin to define growth. Is growth in your organization increase in number of customers at the moment, which is growth, maybe acquisition, or increase in revenue, which is that okay, we've gotten the number of customers we want. We are not stopping, but that's not our focus now. We want to scale, right? Is it primarily revenue based, or does it include some customer experience or retention and brand loyalty? You need to understand what exactly growth is for your business. And if you understand that, then you should be able to plug in your function or how you come in, for your organization. Okay, so what are some of the growth indicators that we can identify within our organizations? I had mentioned earlier, is it acquisition? Are you getting new customers? Are you recording a high NPS score? People are naturally drawn to your brand. They are giving good reviews without, you having to incentivize them for those reviews, right? Is there an increase in revenue and profit margins, which is the almost general ultimate for everyone in business? Are your customers satisfied with what you are doing for them? Is their user experience top notch? Right? Are you gaining market share or competitive edge? So if you think around what growth means for your business, you should be thinking around these things. Okay. And even if some of these things I've mentioned do not strike any business growth semblance for you within your organization, there's something that your organization is chasing or that is the North Star for your organization. You need to know what that means to you. If you know what that means to you, and you can find it across all the departments, everybody understands that even if I'm the one sweeping the floor or washing the ceiling or whatever it is we are doing, at the end of the day, we want to get to this point. Whatever that is what growth means to your business. You need to know that to be able to navigate your business and understand if you are working in silos or not. Okay. Cynthia.
All right. So innovation, right? Uh, every startup is basically out there making changes, trying to solve a problem, right? And basically, right, um, when as a founder, you sit down and you see something is happening. I remember when I used to walk down the streets to borrow CDs to watch movies, and then now I can just sit on my phone and watch a movie on Netflix, right?
Hmm.
That's innovation. A lot of us are in startups, I would assume, and our business is solving problems. Um, However, when that business is launched, it has identified one problem that it's solving. But for them to remain relevant and for business growth, whatever your metrics that you have decided business growth means to you is, right? For that to happen, it means that you have to continue to innovate, right? It means that you have to um, think up ideas, right, around the same thing on even a bit more that can ensure that you're retaining your customers and they're not leaving your business, right? And imagine when people are not speaking to each other, collaboration is not happening, right? I doubt that that business would be able to come up with very great ideas. um in terms of innovation, right, it means different things, right? There are different types of innovation. I've just spoken about like product innovation, where you're continuing to improve the product that you've set out in the market. There's also process innovation. I imagine that changes are happening in the organization and it's being done by just maybe the leadership alone, with other members not being carried in along, right? Um, Without loss of words, trust me, I don't think that the best would be gotten from such. No matter how knowledgeable people are, um, it always makes sense, right? It's always good to see things from different lenses, right? It's the same thing with marketing. I remember wanting to do something during my customer service week, and I was working with my colleague in the marketing department, right? And I wanted to try out something new that I'd just seen, right? Um, and when I walked up to him to say, "Oh, I saw this, right? Can we do it?" He was very happy to do it. Imagine, and we did it, right? And when we did it, there was a lot of like the reviews were great, right? Um, I was grinning from ear to ear. I was being celebrated, but I couldn't have done it alone, right? I had to do it with my marketing colleague. He was also happy because it was an achievement for him. But imagine that we didn't come together, right, to launch that particular idea, right? Or he decided to do it on his own, or I decided to do it on my own. There would have been different things that I wouldn't have seen. I remember him pointing to me that for us to achieve this, it won't go in the way I wanted it to go because of some marketing rules and all that I wasn't opportune to know about, right? Um, so, and then organization innovation. For instance, in my current organization, right, even when we do product innovation, we have a product committee that comprises of every one person from every department.
Hmm.
And the reason why we do that is because we want to see what we're innovating through different lenses. We're talking about a product, we want to go to market with it, we want to change some things in it. Somebody from sales is saying, I currently have 10 customers who would buy into this if we do it. However, if we change it this way or add this to it, just maybe 50 more people will come on board. Someone from finance is telling me, okay, what's the number in terms of what this will cost, right? Let's look at it this way. Someone from IT or engineering is saying, well, this beautiful idea you guys have thought about, we can make it come to life or we cannot. So imagine all of us sitting down together at that point, right, thinking about this thing, as opposed to product has sat down, they've thought about the idea, the product manager has sat down, thought about the idea, then
Build
IT
people
has
from
done their
vision.
work, and then when they're almost done, they now call marketing and sales and marketing to say, oh, come and see, oh, let's push this to the market. It would definitely be different in terms of innovation, right?
Absolutely.
Um, Collaborative innovation would definitely like just surpass when people are working individually. I think, yeah, I probably have spoken so much about innovation.
I
Sales
think
is
I
always
should just come
fantastic,
in here.
but yes, come on,
Joy is pro sales. Anyway, so I think I'll just come in here by saying that I think you wrapped it very nicely with regards to the importance of coming up with innovative ideas. But I also know that it is different for different types of organizations. So some organizations might have more resources, some might not have as many resources, which is why it's actually very important that people collaborate, that people actually break silos and talk to each other so that whatever resources you have within your organization or whatever goals it is that you're chasing, you can be sure that everybody is aligned. When you were speaking about product innovation, process innovation, and marketing innovation, I was just thinking about how sometimes we are looking at product innovation being something that has already been built out by tech and then deployed to the customer. But it could actually be an experiment that is run manually to just test and see if this would work. And then based on the results gotten, you can bring it back to products to say, hey, we've tested this, it has worked manually. Let us now build and see how we can make it more efficient, which then brings us into, okay, what's the process? Marketing has to be involved because now we are building because we want to scale, and as an organization, when do we want to launch this? Do we have the human talent, the financial resources to drive this so that upon deployment there's no story. So innovation could be a lot of things, but for the sake of everybody that is in the room, I don't want us to leave here thinking that it should only be product because we are assuming that everybody here works in a startup. It could be trade marketing. I remember there was a time that Cynthia was sharing with me that in one of her former places of employment, she had to go, you know, on the street to achieve something that today could easily be achieved with a button, but she had to go physically on ground to go and drive it at the time, right? When we even talk about marketing, yeah, we can say, okay, there's product marketing now, we want to do online and all of that, but sometimes it could be below the line activations. We just want to get XYZ out there, see what users are saying before we come back and come and build something big. It could be different things really. It could also be um, innovating internally around, the internal processes, the way we communicate inside. So does the company have a town hall? Doesn't have to be a physical hall. Do we have meetings where people can just come and let the employees breathe if there's anything like that, right? Monthly stand-ups and all hand meetings that ensures that everybody is just on the same page. That sort of thing. So I just thought to throw that in there so that we understand that when we're talking about coming up with innovative ideas, it doesn't have to be technical. They're not saying you should go and become Elon Musk. Just think outside and within your scope, and I'm sure you get something. Somebody is laughing there. Cynthia, this is for you. So I think you can start and then we will continue. So just go ahead.
Okay, so basically, right, we have spoken about silencing, we have spoken about what business growth is, we have spoken about innovation, right? So now you have thought about something, right? And you have a current customer base. And then you want to either get, because of course for business growth, right, there's the lifetime value of the customer, right? And you want to keep a customer for as long as you can. And the ways to keep them, right, is when you start adding things, right, that they would need, anticipating their need, right, and then coming up with those things, right, it means that they'll stay with you longer. So when you anticipate these needs and you then want existing customers, right, to latch on this, right, there's a need to like upsell, right, to them. And sometimes would, of course, it will be more money for your organization, but it's more money coming out of your customers' pocket, right? So it means that there needs to be value for them. And then cross-selling on the other hand is you have different products and you feel, for instance, you can for recommend maybe a complementary product, right, to a business. So I'll give an example. At Uber, we had businesses use the Uber rides, right, to for their employees to move from place to place. Then Uber launched Uber Eats, right? And as a salesperson, you see some organizations, especially the ones that are happy to feed their employees, and there's an opportunity there for you to pitch Uber Eats to them. Now, it means that Uber is making money from that organization from two different products, right? So apart from the fact that I need to tell that organization, increase the number of employees that you put on the right business, which is upselling to them. I'm also adding Uber Eats as something that we offer, right? That they can then give to their employees. Or even tell them that you can now use Uber vouchers, which is turning our rides or eats to vouchers that they can use for marketing, give to their customers, right? Um, so these are ways that businesses grow because it means that you've you have a platform, right, to increase your numbers, to increase revenue. However, right, imagine if, like Joyce said when I was talking about innovation, right? Imagine if when Uber was creating this product, right, everybody was not in the room. What would happen is they would come up with this beautiful Uber Eats and tell me, Cynthia, go and sell it. And first of all, I would already be feeling upset, right? That why was I not told that they were thinking about this? And then how would I sell if I already have a mindset that I'm not a happy employee? So you see how siloism comes into hampering growth and hindering opportunities for businesses to grow because now the salespeople feel neglected, right? They are not motivated enough to even upsell or cross sell, which is the means for us to drive business growth, right? So it's the more reason why I'm very passionate about this topic and I'm preaching it with all my energy. If businesses would grow, the way to grow is for them to be able to make more money, revenue, right, from their existing businesses. And for you to be able to drive this, it means that you need to carry everybody along, right? You need to be able to ensure that everybody is bought into the dream. And if everybody's carried along, they would, in fact, as that products were launching the product, I'm already thinking about as a salesperson. I'm sorry I keep using the sales as example because they're the ones that really drive revenue growth. And I'm very passionate about revenue growth. I'm
At the
sorry.
end of the day, yeah. At
So
the end of the
yeah,
day,
yeah, basically. So that's upselling, that's cross-selling, and that's how it's going to drive business growth. And That's why we need to break siloism, because we have now seen with a few examples I've given how this would hamper any growth that's happening. Yeah, back to you, Precious.
Absolutely. And of course, drive customer retention, because if the customers are happy and the salespeople have a good relationship with the customers who are external stakeholders, then it's easier for them to upsell to these customers. And it just looks like, oh, the revenue is growing, but it's actually growing because um, internally, salespeople as stakeholders were carried along and were able to bring their contribution to the table, and externally, existing customers, which I think are the best people to sell to anyway. It's easier to sell to someone who is already buying from you than to sell afresh to a new customer. Because you're selling afresh to a new customer, you have to introduce yourself, you have to build trust, credibility, and all of that. For somebody who has bought from you before, who has experienced you, can easily say, okay, oh, I bought jeans from you, give me top. You are now selling jewelries with your clothes. Ah, okay, oh, you were selling quality jeans and quality tops. So I expect that your jewelry will be quality, even if it's not pure gold. Let the gold plates last, that sort of thing. Yeah. And so it just gives the business a competitive advantage when they're able to cross-sell and upsell to existing customers, which is actually innovative, which can only happen if there are no silos um, within the organization, which brings us to breaking silos to enhance business growth. It's exactly what it is. So, peradventure, after everything we've been saying, you are in an organization that you can now identify as silos. So maybe we are saying all these things, and you're like, so it means that there's siloism happening where I am, or I experienced siloism before. I know a friend who has shared certain experiences within the organizations with me, and I can identify it as siloism creeping in to the activities within the organization. It's important that it gets broken. I'll give an example. There's a particular company I was working with. Let me call the management batch A. Batch A management. There was so much silo that we got to a meeting one day, and leadership, the supposed leadership at the time, was talking about a project, and they were just talking about it, talking about it, talking about it. We were first pretending as if no, we know everybody was okay, carried along. Somebody just tapped somebody at the side and said, I beg, this thing when they talk, when they talk and before, they said, I don't know. And that was how everybody was like, sorry, we are not following. Excuse me, we are not following. No. Okay. We're actually talking about the XYZ project. And it's going to launch on so and so day. We've gotten into a partnership with so and so people, and we're just hearing about it. We're like, okay, what about the ABC we were doing before? They're like, no, that one, people should not worry about that one. That's not where we are focused now. We're like, do you understand? So it took the entire organization by shock. It's, of course, we reduce trust on behalf of trust between employees and management. Be like, these people can just wake up one day and sell this company, and we will be here thinking that we are working for someone, right? But something happened again, and there was sort of like a shufflement, if there's any word like that in management. And we saw the difference in approach when a new set of people came in, right? It was almost like no decision was being taken without the entire business knowing. Like, would have sold the product or the decision or the innovation to ourselves so much internally, would have critiqued it so much that we will come up with, we will start anticipating possible objections from customers before deployment. And that in itself helped us to scale a lot of hurdles. So you can imagine preparing to the point where you are going to pitch and speak to a customer, and you have developed possible frequently asked questions or possible objections up to 80 to 90%. So that they say, what about this? You're like, this is the answer. What about A? This is the answer. What about B? This is the answer. You're so prepared. So creating a collaborative culture is very important to breaking silos and enhancing business growth. It's a no-brainer. You need to share goals. Communication within the organization needs to be very open and regular because the startups, like Cynthia mentioned, things change very, very, very fast. I don't know if anybody has seen the movie Hidden Figures when the main character was telling her immediate line manager that, look, I need to be in this room when you guys are making decisions because I'm here trying to solve how the rocket is going to land on space. And it's mathematics. I'm doing all of this work. And by the time I present my workings, you're like, oh, the radius has changed 6 minutes ago because you were in a room and I wasn't privy to be there, right? So regular communication is important across departments, beyond meetings. Personally, I like creating an environment where I can easily gist with my colleague, my direct reports, or my line manager. It's easier to flow in those kind of spaces versus having a formal meeting all the time. So I think that that's one thing that we can use to break silos. We cannot rule out the role of technology in breaking silos. CRMs need to be integrated in the way we work so that data is easily collected, filtered, um, leads are qualified, things are properly arranged and organized for us to be able to execute on the project. So we need technology to do that. It will not make sense if in 2024 your list of customers is written on a piece of paper or typed on a piece of paper, kept in a booklet somewhere in the office. And anytime you want to reach out to a customer, you have to get to the office, bring out the booklet, and start looking for page 227, where the customer that their name starts with Y is. Even though that looks organized, it's outdated, it's manual. So we must understand that technology needs to play a role in helping us move very quickly as we break these silos and as we enhance business growth. Of course, at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is grow the business, move forward, and at the center of it all is the customers. So we need to be customer centric in doing all of these things. Prioritizing customer experience across departments should be a shared goal. There's no room for, I'm in finance. My own is when they bring it, I will solve it and I will pay out. You must understand that for every delay in payments or every delay in balancing the sheets or whatever that hampers on the customer experience, it's an ultimate fail for the business. So don't think that, oh, I'm in finance, so it's the salespeople now, they're the ones facing the customers. If you've not been able to serve the salespeople properly, to serve the customers, external customers properly, then you are doing your business a disservice, right? So even within our organizations, we need to be customer centric to the people that we serve within the organization. We have people in internal controls and compliance and admin that might not be facing the users of our product, but we are their customers. So if you find yourself in one of these departments, you can actually be pushing siloism if you feel like your work is not something that should be done, speedily, or this is how we do it here. I take my time. It's audit, so I have to take my time. When you can actually do it in less than the time, but you just want to be the alpha and the omega of your table and chair. So stuff like that are things that could bring about siloism, but we want to break it. So if we are all customer centric and we are focused on ensuring that the customer has a beautiful experience of our product, of our brand, of our business, then we should be prioritizing this experience across departments, across different stakeholders. Cynthia.
All right. So yeah, after breaking silos, right? Um, Enhancing innovation across departments, right? So I think as we've been speaking, right, we have already shared like some tips on how to enhance innovation. Like Precious said, right, don't think of innovation as you need to be the next Elon Musk um or Mark Zuckerberg, right? So it's just those little ideas, everybody's little ideas coming together, right, into something that then helps customers, and people are then willing to pay more for. And how to promote innovation. One is organizations, and for founders here, business owners here, or even people that are just employees, right? Do not be afraid to fail, right? Try it, experiment. You've just learned one way of not doing something, right? Even if you don't succeed in what you want, right? So don't be afraid of experimenting. Cross training and knowledge sharing. Be happy to let your colleagues know about like what you're doing, right? Or what you're even thinking, right? They might just have something that helps question what you're doing, that makes it better, right? And perfects what you're innovating, or that idea that you have. um Again, like from where I started from, because we're focused on achieving our own individual goals in the organization, sometimes we lose track, right? So I would say another way to promote innovation without siloism is incentivizing team performance, right, rather than individual metrics. So the way the way I think about it is, say for instance, um I have 5 people in my team. Now, every time somebody does something, right, and we present it, always present it as customer experience team have come up with this idea. What it does is everybody in the team knows, right, that we need to work together to ensure that we're presenting great ideas as a team. Excuse me. So it encourages everybody to work together, as opposed to when you come and every day in team meeting, they call Namdi, let's clap for Namdi. Namdi has done this, that. Yeah, I'm not saying individual performance should not, like, we shouldn't recognize great people. However, we should know where to draw the line, because you do it too much, and Cynthia, who's Namdi's colleague, says, "Ah, if Namdi has done everything, and no need for me to think again now. Let me just come and," do you understand? Because human beings are different, right? We don't operate on the same level. So when we know that
Absolutely.
Namdi comes to meet me and say, "Oh, Cynthia, I thought about this," and then, oh, I tell him my own idea, and then we come together and we do it, and we are recognized as a team. It would help to make me speak more. It would also help me to contribute more. Now, in terms of tools for collaboration, right? I think there are a lot of tools out there, right? There's Slack for one, where you're messaging your colleague to like let them know groups are being created. Oh, let's sync, right? It doesn't have to be only, we have like meetings. For instance, this is collaboration we're doing here, right? If there was something to be discussed, just a Google meeting, right, would help that happen. Um, Miro, I use Miro a lot, right? Once I'm thinking of an idea, I just create like a file on Miro, and I add my colleagues to it, and like, yeah, this is what I'm thinking about. Put in your ideas, right? And then everybody's dropping their rough ideas, and before you know it, we've come up with like something that makes sense, right? Um, there's also like Microsoft Suite, there's Google Drive, where like you work on a document. For instance, whilst myself and Precious were going to do this, right, we had created like a Google slide, and then we put in like our different bits into it, right? That's collaboration, and that's helping innovation, because I'm sure that even though this is not Twitter, we have created a wonderful presentation today. Yeah.
Yes, so
Um, so there are a lot more. But one very important tool that I would mention is use your leg. Your leg is a tool, right? Sometimes just walk to that colleague of yours, build a rapport with them, walk up to them. Because the
absolutely.
truth is, people are willing to want to brainstorm on ideas. Everybody has something in their head. They're just waiting for who will walk up to them and say, "Oh, I'm thinking this. What do you think?" And before you
Mm.
know it, just speaking, right? So learn to also have conversations, right, with people in person, right? As whilst you use all these great collaboration tools. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. Use your legs. In fact, when me and Cynthia were discussing this earlier, it was very funny because especially people that work in startups or in the tech industry, we make everything about the product, about tech, about tech, about tech. And sometimes we cannot think outside, you know, a product that has been built using technology. It's supposed to be a tool, not the solution. The innovation doesn't start from the building of the product, it starts from our minds. So sometimes you're stuck, like Cynthia said, just use your legs, walk across departments. If you're not working remotely and you work in a shared office space, just walk to somebody. Hey, how you doing? I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Doesn't have to be your teammates, and you'll be amazed at stuff that will start coming out. So talking about that, I mean, use case cross-departmental collaboration examples are numerous. Um, I've not seen anybody that has come out to say that collaboration has crippled their businesses. So we know that working in silos, is ultimately not a good thing for organizations. And the opposite of that would be collaboration. So let's not work in silos, let's not work in isolation, let's collaborate, right? I've heard people say that, oh, because we're not cooperating, we're not working as a team, we're not sharing ideas, we're not aligning, our organization did not grow, we didn't achieve this. But I've not heard anybody that said because we're collaborating and we're aligning, we did not achieve this. It's not possible. And that's why when I see organizations where sales and marketing is fighting, I wonder what's the problem? Sales and marketing is like they are like two sides of a coin. What exactly is your problem? Why are you fighting yourself? It's like you are fighting your stomach, you know. You are the mouse, you're fighting the stomach. You don't put food in the mouth, stomach will not get food. If stomach doesn't get food, the body will not be strong to work. And it continues like that across different departments. So the organization is the entire body. These different departments or different functions or different teams are the different body parts. We all need each other. Sales and marketing need to collaborate and stop this their unnecessary feud that has been on for many, many years. I think most organizations now, anyway, are embracing, a more collaborative sales and marketing space. And I'm saying this because many roles have come out of, the sales and marketing um, function or expertise. We have product marketing, we have sales marketing, we have business development, we have sales marketer, sales manager, marketing sales, all sorts of um, customer success, this growth, this, that. So you don't have a choice but to collaborate. If you collaborate, it's to your own advantage. Marketing shares customer data with sales for personalized upselling and cross-selling campaigns. It just makes sense that, for example, if you are running marketing campaigns as an organization and you are getting some real-time insight as to maybe you do an online campaign and you notice that you do an online campaign for women, targeted at women, and you notice that it's men that are clicking more or responding more, and you keep the information like, I'm doing something, and you don't tell salespeople so that they know that, okay, in their pitch, when they are closing, they need to fine tune it to cater to the men folk that are responding to the campaign better. It doesn't help anybody. But if you share that information, then they are able to, adapt or adopt whatever it is that they need to do. And in case of upselling or cross-selling, even if they are, with the example I gave, they are still talking to female prospects, they can then upsell and ask questions like, oh, do you have a man in your life? I'm just giving random example. Okay, can we also speak to him? And then they've spoken to two prospects because data has shown us that both men and women are interested in that product, this imaginary product that we are talking about, right? So sales and marketing is a very classic example of departments that need to collaborate. Customer service and product development. Customers are the lifeline of the business. Without customers, you're not going to be in business. Your business is not going to grow. So if product is building something that the customers do not appreciate, then to what end is that? Right? So customer service, people that engage with customer, and customer service here is hypothetical. It could still be customer facing employees, right? It could be telesales, it could be online marketing, it could be online sales, offline sales, whatever it is. Whoever is the frontline customer facing employee and whoever is developing the product, maybe not necessarily the engineers, but maybe like a product manager. I've worked in a place where we didn't have product manager. So it was straight from the mouth of the customer to salespeople to engineering, right? We have to make it work. So there has to be that collaboration where there's feedback from the field, from frontline, from the customers to the builders, so that they know that these fancy ideas that they are having, this is exactly what the customer wants. You might be thinking, oh, let me build something that customer can easily press, wake up from sleep, jump on their bed, and all of that. And customer is like, I just want to bath. You know, how do you then make it easy for the customer to be able to um, get satisfaction from using your product? Is by collaborating, by ensuring that you are close to the customer facing employees. Operations and finance. Oh, we have to spend this money. We have to do this. Finance, like, no, 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 no. We have a budget. We are working strictly on this budget. Don't know we don't have money. There's no money, and it's interesting because I used to wonder, first of all, in my mind, I'm biased towards anybody that needs money in the business. I feel like finance is not the right person to tell us whether we can take money or we cannot take money. The question we should be asking is, how does this affect our bottom line? If we are going to spend 10 million and make 20 million, let's spend it versus keeping our 10 million and making 1 million and playing safe, right? So that alignment needs to be there so that our strategies are cost effective, so that we know what Joy say finance and no money, 5 and 6. Yes, so that our strategies are cost effective and we know, how to bundle our products and all of that. And then finally, product and marketing. So product is coming up here again. Before we market a product, before we even say we want to sell it this way, product is building for a particular type of customer. Marketing has to come up with that customer persona. Who is the person that we are selling to? Let us not just go and put adverts on Facebook or Instagram for the sake of putting, right? We need to be able to be speaking to a particular subset of customers, right? And we need to develop data-driven customer insights for predictive upselling models. So we are speaking to this customer, but we are also noticing that this kind of thing is happening in our community. How can we begin to prepare for that possibility? It's not until we get there, until we now say we've built a product for it, that we will be ready. We can discover something along the way, communicate it to products as marketing, continue out with our campaigns while product is iterating on that feedback that they've gotten from us. So there's just a lot of scenarios where cross-departmental collaborations definitely works and helps the business move forward.
All right. So I think if you've been with us from the beginning, there are a lot of practical steps that we've already shared, right? But maybe just to sum it up, right, is one, we need to establish cross-functional team goals, right? As we build our departmental goals and the organization goals, let's speak into how each person's goal fits into the other person, right? Let people be able to see that they need to work together for us to achieve what we are set to achieve, right? So establish it, right? And like I always say, let everybody know that the fact that you're in finance today and you're doing great as a finance person, if the business is not growing, then there's no money to pay both finance, sales, marketing In fact, everybody will go home. So you can get a star in your appraisal, and but there will not be a next appraisal because the business does not exist any longer.
Not busy.
So cross-functional team goals, right? Um, create a knowledge sharing channel. Like I said, um, you can use Confluence, right? Um, to do stuff. You can, in fact, just even having a Google Drive, right? Sharing things. Let everybody be able to access organization. I know, yeah, there are certain documents and stuff that should be like top level, but let information be able to go, let people be able to find information if they want it, right? And then strategy sessions, right? Most organizations leave it till December when they do next year strategy session. That's the only time everybody comes together in the room.
Yes,
Or
sir.
for some, they do like media. But I think it should be more frequent, right? Let people
Mhm.
be able. In fact, I think there should be a KPI to in organizations that is on your ability to be able to collaborate and communicate with other members of the organization, right? I think it should be something that companies should start paying attention to, apart from
Mhm.
the on the job KPIs,
Mhm.
soft skill KPIs that are focused on communication and collaboration. I think like it's something that should be part of like the metrics that
Mm.
organizations have. I think another thing I would say is, because I'm also thinking that some of us in this room today are not founders. So we might say, oh, a lot of these things people are saying is management that would implement. Who are we? But I also say that if you know that you're experiencing silencing today, right? You can actually do something about it. You can start, right? You can lead. You can take the initiative to go to other people and find out what they're doing, right? Share your own 2 cents. Before you know it,
Absolutely.
people will start reaching out to you too. And then you're building or driving that culture, right? Um, Gradually. Or you could even actually have a chat, right, with somebody that you know can enforce this kind of change, to say, oh, I noticed this, that, right? But I think that we can do it better. We can achieve more, right? And you can just talk about the impacts of siloism that you've learned in this meeting today, and the reason why they need to make a decision today, right, to stop it, right? And how they can do it. And I'm sure that you would be better for it, because it would also make you happy, right? I think the last meeting we had was on mental health. It will improve your mental health, right? Knowing that you're not working alone. Yeah. So yeah, I think those are like practical steps.
Fantastic. So I think we have wrapped it up here. It's been a pleasure doing this with you, Cynthia. I'm just gonna keep short now in case there are questions.
Yeah, so it's been amazing actually. Thank you guys very much. It has been an interesting session. At the start, I had like 250,000 million questions, but I think I just have very few left now. So you guys did justice to everything because you basically spoke and then answered a lot of the questions before it was so yeah, kudos to everybody. But at this point, I think if you have questions, just throw it at the chat box to address your questions one after another. But I have very few questions here I would want to ask. For starters, when you listed the innovations, amongst the types of innovations, which do you think organizations often overlook and why?
Okay. I'll just think. I would think it is process innovation, right? A lot of times, especially in startups, if you're in a startup, right, um, everybody's focused on the finished product, right, and how we get about it sometimes is not. And a lot of times when we try something and it works, right, we just keep doing it and we're not looking for better ways to make it happen. So for me, I would say I think it's process, right? Innovation. There are better ways that things can be done. We don't have to stick to like the old ways or um haphazard ways, if that's the right way to put it. So I would say process, right? Precious, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I'm likely to agree with you. Um, One of the things that I know that startups do not start with is process. So startups are the startup in startup industry, we most likely hit the ground running, then we come back later to come and arrange it when we get something that is working. So yeah, I agree. There's nothing to add. I think it's process, and it's just because things iterate very quickly. So um, for example, you might not have somebody who is doing different things in marketing. In a startup, you might not have a social media manager, a community manager, an SEO manager, SEO specialist, SEM specialist. You just have one digital marketing person who is getting the job done, right? And when something around that space is needed, the person just gets it done. And that's okay, But eventually, when you scale, you realize that one person cannot do all of this. And of course, if you are not an organization that has silos, you already know that there is this gap that we need to fill, and when the time is right, we fill it. So yeah, process is more like it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very. I think my last question here is, if an organization has an ingrained silo, what would be your first step to recommend change?
Okay, so I think that it has to start with. So if we've identified that there's siloism within an organization, it helps if the leadership of the organization can accept that it's their responsibility to drive culture, and once that acceptance, so we are using a case, a scenario where everything is equal, everything is equal. Once that acceptance is there, then they can take the necessary steps to begin to break the silos by, first of all, trying to define what the expected culture is and move away from siloism. It might involve letting go of some people. It might involve restructuring the team. It might involve um, enhancing communication. If it's people who come to a physical location, it might involve removing the doors, right? So that everybody is walking across an open space, and then the leadership can begin to drive that communication that they want. So if I'm the MD, for example, and there's siloism and we've removed the doors, I can from my table speak to someone in finance about stuff, and the person responds. Sales and marketing can hear me asking about the budget and all of that. So people get freer that way and begin to collaborate when they can see the leadership driving that collaboration. But if the leadership is not driving, put glass everywhere. Exactly. If the leadership is not driving that collaboration, it's going to be hard, in all honesty, right? Because the case of, you have identified that, oh, there's siloism here. What's the best you can do? You do your best. You will, engage with people. But at the end of the day, if that buy-in is not there, you might have to do what's best for you, which is, find another organization where um you can collaborate, really. I don't know if Cynthia wants to add anything. And I can see
Yeah,
someone's
I
hand is
think
up.
you've said it right. My very first step, right, and that's because for me transparency is key, is let's talk about it, right? We have identified this. I'm just gonna put everybody in the room and say, hey guys, right? There's something wrong in our culture. This is what that's as leadership, right? This is something that we have noticed, and we cannot go far with this, right? Um, so we would need to make changes, and the reason why we're bringing everybody here, right, to talk about it is because we want you to be part of that change, because without you we can't do it, right? So be transparent about the problem. A problem found is a problem half solved, like they say. So we found the problem, let's tell everybody the problem, because before we even start making changes, so that people understand why that change is happening, right? Again, because you don't want to start making changes and you start experiencing resistance because people do not understand why the change is happening. So yeah, I would start from um calling that meeting, and then afterwards I'm going to do all the things Precious has said. Remove all the doors, put glass everywhere, let's see each other. If we're working remotely, have happy hours or something, like sign up on tools that can help us collaborate. Yeah, but that first meeting where we talk about the problem, right, would happen before it changes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, Oji, I see your hands up. Please, if you also have questions, you can raise your hands or drop your questions. So Oji, please, you can speak.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Precious and Cynthia. In fact, you've spoken quite eloquently about this issue, and I'm so glad that I was part of it. It's very educative. I think I have two questions. One of them is not actually a question, though. I just want to know if this presentation material will be available for us after this meeting, because we'd like to go over it after now. Secondly, I wanted to ask, in your opinion, on the broad spectrum, is there any part of it where the member of staff are also like who is more responsible for silos in organizations? Is it like executives or in the chat, or is it the staff members?
So yeah, before the answer, yeah, the material will be available after the meeting, and it will be available to everybody.
So it's just like, Oji, that question you asked me is when you say who is responsible for the problem of Nigeria, and then we all are quick to shout, "Is the government though? Is the government though?" So yeah,
No,
I think it's a shared
that's
responsibility.
just that.
Sorry, what did you say? Okay, good. I think it's a shared responsibility, right? So for instance, when I join organizations, my first question is, what is your culture here? Because I've been in an organization where silencing happened, and like it was a normal thing, right? And people didn't even know that something was wrong, right? So I think, and so subsequently, every time I joined like organizations, I would ask questions that would help me know if this is how these people work here, and then I know, do I want to be part of this, right? So you would know, right, an organization that when the management have or are thinking about collaboration and communication, it makes it easier, right, for people to adopt that culture. In fact, when they're interviewing people, they're asking you culture questions that ensure that you are a culture fit, right, or to their values, which sometimes will include team spirit, collaboration, communication, and all these things. So it's easier, right, to avoid siloism when the management are botting, right, and are driving it. Now, when for the employees, right, or for individuals, where there is a culture that we would collaborate and communicate, if you come in and you are not that kind of person, you're the one you would, in fact, you will adjust, because guess what? You look like the um
Fish
I
out
don't
of
know,
water.
fish out of water, yeah, right? It would be everybody would, there'll be something wrong about like how people communicate with you, because you can't even, before you know it, right, everybody's calling your name, right? People are calling you out because they just cannot understand why I'm going to meet the new marketing manager and he's saying, "Oh, yes, I'll let you know when we're done." Like, why are you letting me know when we're done? Why can't we speak about it now, right? If there's a culture like that in the organization, it's hard for people to have to work in silos. So I would say it starts from the management, but it's also possible for individuals. And it might just be from their own experience, where they're coming from or something, that they tend to work in silos without knowing. But when they come to a place where that's not what's obtainable, they would have to make the change, right? So yeah, I hope I answered that question correctly, Audrey. Even though I was trying not to sound like the president is the problem of our country, but yeah, I think most times management is actually, it's better off when like management takes the decision and they're the ones pushing it.
So thank you very much, Oji. I hope it justice your question. Okay, okay, so yeah.
How involved is the HR? Your Precious, do you want to take that?
How involved is what?
HR, human resource, in breaking siloism.
Okay, you know, nowadays they don't even call them HR anymore. They call them people and culture. So they've evolved from human resource to people management to people and culture. So in an organization that can afford it, they are the custodians of the culture of the business, right? Of course, the brand ambassador, the ambassador for the culture is the MD or the CEO or the leadership. But the custodian is the people and culture or human resource department. But everybody has a responsibility towards that culture, right? So HR is important, but I've been in startups where I was the HR of my department. Me as the line manager of the people that I was managing, I'm the HR. So I had to, you know, be the custodian of that culture and drive and break silos. Well, maybe not break silos, but ensure that there was no siloism, you know, and just propagate the culture of the business. And every other leader and their different teams were doing the same thing. And we didn't have HR. We did what was needed, you know. So yeah, I think that's the answer. So if we can afford it and we have the luxury, you know, and we are now that Fortune 500 company or that unicorn, why not? Of course, we need somebody to hold to be custodians because at the end of the day, the bigger a business gets, you know, the more slippery these things become.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. If we have any other questions, everybody should just drop it on the chat box. But yeah, thank you very much. I think we'll talk about the key takeaways. Um, Precious, Cynthia, is any of us keynote or should I take?
Please enjoy. Go ahead.
All right. So it was an interesting conversation, and yeah, I enjoyed a lot of it, and I learned so much. Actually, learned so much. I didn't even know. I didn't even know a lot of what I've learned today. I probably have to go and check myself and see if I have. I probably have this siloism in me first. But yeah, it was an insightful one, and so we'll take the key takeaways. We have breaking silos can drive innovation and growth. So the speakers have spoken a lot in depth, and it has become so obvious. Actually, it has become very obvious because uh, we should try and find ways from the conversation we've had, go through, at least look deep into ourselves first, find out we are not the causes of silos at times, or find ways to solve first our problems before we can dive into the organizational part. And then the second one here is cross-departmental collaboration enables impactful upselling and cross-selling. Yeah, I had one question when they were talking about the cross-departmental collaboration, but I got the answer to the question because it's mostly difficult when you have to deal with other people, especially other departments. Sometimes it's almost like a competition between sales, marketing. Sometimes some departments are not even don't even feel respected or acknowledged enough. So it's usually tough, but it's important that we actually find ways to collaborate, cross-departmental collaboration. it helps. It helps. And then lastly, building a unified customer experience is key to sustainable growth. Well, most every business basically wants to help their customers. I think this one is basically the mother of all businesses. We should find ways to
Sorry, I
actually
think
help.
there's a question on the chat. Someone said they joined late.
Yeah.
Siloism, can you just give an insight for my sake, please?
Okay. So can you
Hi.
take that?
Hello. So one thing that we would do is that we're going to upload this video. It's been recorded. So Tokwe would love to share this, but because we've started almost an hour plus and we're trying to wrap up, but I promise you that I'm going to upload the video by tomorrow latest. So just go to our Refstar YouTube page and then you will see it there and enjoy. Chime, you can continue.
Yeah, so thank thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, our speakers. Thanks, the participants, everybody that joined. I'm grateful. We're grateful that we're all here, and we hope everybody learned and have grown basically from the beginning till now. Precious Cynthia, we are really grateful for the time, dedication, and then you really did justice to what we were speaking about. At least I know I learned a lot. Now I'm looking forward to my own 10 years experience actually. So it's actually nice to have you guys around. Thank you very much, Resta. And yeah, exciting update from Resta community. With regards to learn how to find paying customers. So you can unlock 25% off our upcoming masterclass with our code REFSELL2024. Don't miss out on this chance to gain valuable strategies. So for those of us who are not on the Refstar community, you can join the Refstar community. The links are on the chat box. You can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. And then, yeah, you can also join the Refstar community. If you are not yet on the Refstar community, you're missing so much. And then insightful conversations like this will come up and have been coming up basically. There have been a lot of growth in the Refstar community, so you're all encouraged to join and become part of this serious growth. And then you get to meet Precious Adesina again. And with time, you get your 10 plus experience, 10 years plus experience, which I'm looking forward to. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. So I think we would wrap up here. And at this point, if you want to stay back,
I just wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to say that if you want to reach me or Cynthia, we've dropped our LinkedIn and our social media pages on the chat. So you might want to just say hi or just reach us from there. And that's it. Thank you.
yeah, thank you very much. So you see, it's interesting. Our speakers are available to speak to you, help you grow at any time. So yes, you could reach out to any of them through their links that you dropped. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very, very much. And then once again, don't forget to join the Refstar community. Don't forget to join the Refstar community. You could see the upcoming event that's coming up. And then, yeah, thank you very much. If you want to stay back and network and get to meet people, get to talk, ask questions, you could stay back. But I'm really grateful for your presence. Thank you, Precious. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And do have a wonderful evening and an amazing weekend.